It's the What Are You Driven By podcast, where we dive deep to see what motivates and drives our community's best leaders.
Welcome, Dr. Deena. I would love for you to introduce yourself and your company and a little bit more about what you do and your unique approach.
Thank you so much, Deandra, for having me here and for asking. There's something about even more important than who I am as the spirit of gratitude, very genuinely to be asked to show up in a place and share what you love and care about. So thank you. Thank you for asking me to spend minutes together in this way. I am Dr. Deena Kara Shaffer. I'm very unfancy about the whole doctor thing, so Deena is great, and my pronouns are she and her. And I will spend a lifetime trying to perfect the elevator pitch. And can we just soften the anxious edges around that? It's hard to sum up a life and all that one cares about. And so, I don't know, I kind of want to bust through that metaphor, really. What about a really long, languorous, lazy river where you had lots of unpressured time to share, this is who I am and what I fumble at and try at and spaghetti against the wall at. So I am the CEO and founder of Awakened Learning. And in this sweet business of ethical entrepreneurship, I teach and coach learning strategies, as does my growing team, to students of all ages and stages and years and programs and identities and pathways to us. I also teach parents learning strategies because learning happens a lot of the time at home, and there is often friction around homework done or not done, or grades and expectations not met, and attention that is fractured. And so I want to include parents as nudgers and encouragers of the learner. And I teach learning strategies to educators and chosen families and administrators at schools and CEO folks. Anywhere that I can share learning strategies, I do. I'm also adjunct faculty at a downtown Toronto university, Toronto Metropolitan University, where I teach the learning and happiness course I co-made. And I do lots of other things like write. So I'm a best-selling author, a book called Feel Good Learning. Second book's coming out next week at the time of this podcast interview. And I speak and I publish research and I do everything I can to sing from the rooftops loudly the kind of alchemy and transformative power of learning strategies. Not an elevator pitch. We'd have to have had 75 floors. So sorry.
No, that was lovely. And you shared so much. First of all, I am a TMU graduate or TMU alumni. So big place in my heart for TMU.
I love that.
Yes. Oh, and I love that there's new courses. And honestly, that school is always investing in their students. So that's so wonderful.
I agree. I feel like I can genuinely use the word innovation when I talk about TMU. I mean it. I mean it when I say it. And that there's always going to be conundrums and challenges at every post-secondary, at every business.
Mm-hmm.
But I have had the absolute delight to go, what if we do this? Because I worked there for 12 years as staff member doing work around academic resilience within student mental health and access. And it was always met with okay, try. I've had the president come into many of my classes to give a warm welcome, to kind of bust through that hierarchy. So I'm a big fan of that place.
That is amazing. All righty. You have so much to share, and I feel like I'm just bursting at the seams with questions for you. So I will hold that in for a moment and ask some of the questions I have prepared for you. And so I view you and the public sees you as such a leader in learning, and you have this unique and almost magnetic approach. And so I want to know, in your mind and in your experience, what does that leadership role mean to you?
Well, first, I'm like weak in the knees from your use of the word magnetic as a very tired mother. Like, that's a very, very generous word. So thank you. Thank you for making me feel in this moment less frumpy and frazzled. So thank you for that. And leadership is, I am in a constant wrestle with leadership because I don't like how it's been performed on me or to me over the years in many of the different spaces. I've had leaders who were curt and led from anger. I have had them lead from adrenaline and scarcity, and like you can do thoughtful work until it's all the way go times 1,000. And it's like you are, no matter what you call yourself, you're still two bodies in a room sharing like nervous systems. So I've really tried to take and glean from those experiences the kind of leader I want to be. And in a way, I'm much more interested in like small L leadership, in the way that leadership is shared and enacted not in hierarchical spaces. So the principles to me, which are not prescriptive or finite, like they might change 100 times depending upon what I learn and unlearn. But I am forever guided by kindness, not to placate anybody, not to not cause trouble. I am a troublemaker. Like I am a punk human in every space, but kindness because I know life's suffering. I have experienced that. And so I'm not interested in having workplace dynamics and how I lead be complicit in more harm. Like I just don't want to do that. People hurt enough because of all of their local small body lived experiences and the systemic roadblocks that cause just so much trauma. So I'm just like, how can I get shit out of people's way? That's my interest in being a leader. So in the formal spaces, when I've been a director, a manager, of like, yeah, paperwork, yeah, policy. I want this person to be paid the maximum amount of money and have the best possible title. And I will put my body and my title in front of that in order to make that happen. So that's that. I love doing that. And as a leader of my own business, I am insistent upon paying people excellently well, being super, super transparent to both the people on my team and to families, and to creating many roads in, because in the work I do, it's families who are coming to see me who are worried. They're worried about their kid. And I don't want to take advantage of that worry. I don't create funnels. I don't have a single ad out. There's nothing salesy or grotesque. It's word of mouth, it's referral because somebody's life has changed. And if a family can't afford to see me or someone on my team, great. There's group learning strategies. Can't afford that? That's half the price of one strategy session. Don't worry about it. I know that life gets tough. Get a book, my book for $18. Like I am so interested in creating access. And that's what I think the gift of leadership is. It's the tone, it's how you get all of the like baggage out of someone's way, how you can be a person who says yes in the things that they are interested in and driven by, and so much in creative pursuit of. And how do you create access? Like just radical access. I don't know. That's some of what I care about being a leader.
I love that. And I love how you talked about, you're right, like existence is incorporates suffering, and to have someone who's so empathetic and understanding of those situations is almost like a breath of fresh air, or this stress off your shoulders. It's like I can be who I am, I can be in my suffering, and I can still show up and work with someone else because they understand me. I don't have to carry it or hide it or try to just roll right through it and work hard to just make it through the day. And that
Yeah.
understanding is so wonderful.
And yet it's so easy, right? Like when I've been a director, so I was a director at York University for 2 years. I loved the team I was in service and support of. And, it's like, can I work from home because I have a sick kid? Yes. Can I work from home today, even though it's outside of the hybrid formal arrangement, because my partner works night shifts and they're coming late and they're yes. Like the answer is yes. Does it make your life easier? Does it make your work more doable? Then the answer is yes. And some people would say, but Deena, aren't you worried about being taken advantage of? I'm like, I'm just not going to spend my minutes worrying about that. So like what's the response to that? Being hard-nosed, creating more rigidity? No, thank you. No thanks. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna trust in 99% of people's good nature and like I'd rather say yes, thank you.
And sometimes just that trust alone makes people want to live up to being worthy of that.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Leadership doesn't have to be defined by gatekeeping. So, anyways,
Yeah.
thank you for asking that.
Of course. And so my next question, when you were talking about, how different families or different students have different needs and different levels of being able to access those services. And so in the process of building learning strategies, when you're trying to engage someone in the learning process, or even trying to engage your team members in creating those spaces for your learners, what would you say your strategies are for engaging and motivating your team or learners?
Yeah. For me, in every direction, it's always relationship at the center. I never would start a meeting that has action items before how people are doing and what is top of mind and heart. There is no point sharing a single strategy with a learner if they're coming in absolutely stressed, rushing, racing in. They have to have a moment to settle and know that you are this human that they have rapport with, that they can identify with some way, that they can feel connected to. So I think the best strategies come out of an encounter that is deeply relational. And actually, I can know that in my bones because of all of the brilliant work of the Indigenous educators that I've been so lucky to be just in the presence of. Like, if decolonization, if words like that are to mean anything and aren't performative and aren't just gross checklisty things, if it's real, then what I understand as a person in a white body um, is that relationship and the time invested in relationship is the first principle. So I'm not going to use another person. I'm not going to use a team member to get a client. I'm not going to use a strategy to, what is it, like convert, convert client. Like, I just don't want to use that language. Um, Parents and families come to Awaken Learning, I think, because there's a hope they'll feel different. Something will feel different. They'll feel different in how they're met. They will feel different in how their student is served. And that's what happens over and over and over again. So the felt experience of being in relationship is the most impactful thing. For a student to say, school is so hard, and to be met with zero judgment, zero shame, zero, you should know how to do this. Like, think about how time management and procrastination or prioritization are talked about. You should just manage your priorities. You should just manage your time better. Yeah. If it were easy, then people would know how to do it. They would do it. It's not easy. It's not one thing. There is no singular way to do that. And I think that Awaken learning strategist team sits in that with the student. And by the end, the student winds up with a whole repertoire, a whole toolbox of strategies, but it's born out of relationship first. Being heard, being really, really heard non-judgmentally, that's first.
Wow, I love that. I love that. And it's so true. As I was listening, I could just picture myself in that moment when you're feeling really, really stressed and then you come into a meeting and have to deliver on action items that have fallen below, on your priority list. And then you're like, I have so many other things going on. And how can I
Mhm.
deliver on this? That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
so right? If you're an activist and an artist and you have spiritual life and you have family responsibilities and volunteering and interning and you're job seeking and you've got a side business, that and you've got ADHD, well, so far that describes like 85% of the students who we see, right? So yeah. And then maybe you also just went through a breakup. And then maybe also your parents are splitting up. Maybe you are in a situation of financial or housing precarity. Yeah, so like that's part of it. And it's not therapy, but it is therapeutic because we're just co-regulating beings going like, that sounds really hard. How do you want to tackle that independent study or that physics lab? Like, there's space for that too. That will get done. What's the most humane, easeful way through your work when the rest of life doesn't feel very easeful?
Wow. And so everyone has those challenges. And so my next question is around some of the challenges that you faced in a leadership capacity or in the work that you do and how, so I would say, what was the greatest challenge you faced and how did you overcome it?
Well, we're gonna need more time, but there have been so many because that's what it is to be alive. Like your use of the word existential, it's with us. So some of the external challenges I have faced are I've been told to my face, Deena, you are a good teacher and a good writer, but, and like, I'm not really made for leadership formally because I am, and then fill in the blanks, too kind, too soft. I am too academic, but I'm not academic enough for academia. I am too this, not enough that, over and over and over again. So other people's versions of what leadership is or should be, I've had to listen to that most of my life. And then, of course, you go ahead and do it, and you're given space and trust to do it. And what does your team say? You're the best manager I've ever had. Of course, like I'm just a human being alongside in the muck with you. So I've certainly faced challenges that way. I have faced challenges in trying to get my writing out into the world. I have had people say, Deena, you are the right person with the right topic, trying to talk about post-pandemic learning skill repair. This is the right time, right content, right style of writing. But you don't have a big enough profile, meaning I don't have enough Instagram followers. I've been told that to my face. So all that PhD doesn't matter. It was for nothing. I've been told that to my face. Then there's also the kind of ancestral, like what I carry with me, profound trauma around money and financial scarcity. I lost my parents early on in my life. They both passed away of cancer when I was in my mid-20s. And so it's meant that there's no financial safety net or any safety net. So like what it's taken to raise two small kids without like grandparents and pickups or like an extra couple of dollars for extracurriculars. It means like a real level of scrappiness, but a very genuine understanding of what can go wrong for people. And so I just assume that people have their own iterations of exactly that in their own way, their own constellation of challenges. And so I bring that to when I meet people. It's like, I'm not assuming it's just been easy for you. So how can I participate in easefulness together? I think that's my like deepest desire to it's like what underpins what's vocational for me. So there have been lots of challenges, structural, um, so personal, professional. I think that's just the way it goes for all of us in different ways.
Wow, with all of that, and there's so much I want to dig into, but I think what would be best for our listeners is what is a piece of advice you might offer, having gone through all of these things, maybe something that you wish you had heard when you were younger?
Oh, you know what's so fun is like there's zero prep for this interview. So it's like the most heartfelt in the moment.
Yeah.
Well, singular advice is difficult. So maybe you'll let me approach this in two ways. So I'm going to ask forgiveness. One is for anyone who is looking at how it seems like other people are making it happen. Whether it's they're getting snippets of a story, it's on social, it just looks like it's unfolding or flourishing for somebody. Be real clear that it is nonlinear, that there are always like 15 layers of stories. Who gave them a helping hand? Who gave them a couple extra dollars? Who was their champion? Who did they know? What lucky break? What did they fight for 12 years to make happen? Like there's always layers of stories. So for people to understand what it looks like is never what it is. And the other one is, and I'm learning this in middle age, sometimes we look for the grown up in the room, and the grown up could be of any age, but like somebody's got to know the answer here. Somebody's got to have it figured out. Not a chance. Nobody does. There is no grown up in the room. And so I'm not saying that because I wish other people knew that. I'm saying that because like I am coming to know that over and over. And when I think that everything is chaotic and like, how is this so messed up? Or I'm seeking, okay, maybe it's this podcast, this person's advice, this masterclass, this mentor. Nope. All of them will have really beautiful gems, and none of it is going to be stronger than whatever that gorgeous mixture of like intuition, lived wisdom, that you yourself have accumulated and have hard thought in you. That's it. Like that's stronger than any external advice. It's not that advice isn't bad, it's or good. It's not that formal education or training or mentor, like we throw that out, but it's not going to be there singularly with all the answers.
That resonated with me so much because those are some of the realizations that have started to have. It's both the looking for the adult in the room and also looking around to find the secret, the gem, the one thing, but there is no one thing. And so I love that you shared that. And I think people need to hear that younger or earlier on in their lives so that they're not seeking to then be disappointed. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
And I've got one final question for you, a question that I ask everyone. It's the name of my organization, but Deena, what are you driven by?
I am driven by the desire to somehow participate in both creating less harm and creating more ease for humans everywhere. And the way that I can do that is something around how learning and teaching happens for all of the people who are in that experience, students and learners themselves, parents and chosen families, the people around a learner, and educators, and then decision makers, leaders. All of those people are involved, and anything I can do around like, yeah, ease. And I do it messily, and I do it without imposition, and I do it in a multi-wisdom because there is no one way. But that's what I spend my life and want to keep spending my life doing. That's what I'm driven by.
That was beautiful. And I asked this question to so many people. And I have to say, I've never felt it the way I have felt it from your answer, because I just, having been around you and experiencing your presence, that is so accurate to the feeling that people get when being around you.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Deandra.
And this interview was absolutely wonderful. And this unique style of leadership is one that we don't have enough of, one that we need more of. And on behalf of all the people who have told you that you're not this enough, you're not good enough for the leadership position, I think that because they have never experienced it and it was something that they might have needed, I think they're far too quick to reject something that is good for so many people. So Deena, thank you so much for sharing your insights, sharing your experience, and sharing your presence with us today on this podcast. It was an absolute pleasure to get to know you, to know your work, and to know a little bit about your learning journey and how you're impacting the learning journey of others.
Thank you, Deandra, so deeply for your curiosity and your thoughtful questions in doing this. It's like trying to share what's behind this complicated word, right, of leadership. So heartfelt thanks to you and what you're driven by.
Thank you. And I must also ask for our listeners today, where can they find you online if they want to get connected?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. So they can visit my website, awakenedlearning.ca. They can visit me on Instagram at Awakened Learning. And my participation is really to try to use social for good. So there's not much selling. I try to offer learning strategies. There's a free source of learning strategies. And they can find me on LinkedIn if they want to do that in a professional way. So Deena Kara Shaffer. And then in the books and the sort of offerings and gestures and artifacts I put out into the world, those are some good ways.
Amazing. So thank you everyone for tuning in to the What Are You Driven By podcast and for joining us to meet Deena today. I hope that you join us for the next episode. So we'll see you next time. And as always, stay driven.
Thanks, Deandra.